Welcome to another edition of a webinar that I can't believe it's February 2nd already. It seems like we just put the curtain on the last AEP and here we are already. We're looking at the second month. So I think it's been absolutely no rest. We got a full packed slate today. We got a lot of moving pieces. We encourage a lot of your participation. I work with a lot of brokers, as most of you know. I work with probably many of you. I don't make a lot of outbound phone calls. So if there's anything that you want to share with the organization or share with this little group right here, everything is welcome. We're going to hit some refresher stuff and take a look at what we're exposed to in 2022. What's it look like in 2023? And we've even got a little glimpse of what's going to be happening in 2024 that we're going to be sharing with you. Jason is going to be part, as we have broadcast this, we're going to be doing a little bit of role playing. That's going to be more towards the end. We're going to show you a little bit about how the sequence is going to flow. I may get into a little bit of role playing scenarios, jump in and out just to help you out. Some of the things that I've heard that have been shared with me, things that have worked with some very successful brokers. So again, we're all about sharing. That's what this is all about, a little bit of information, and please don't be afraid to chime on in. And Jason here in a second, I think, is going to be heading back and manning the controls for us. Anything you want to add to that, Jason?
No, just if you have any questions, comments, pop those in the chat, and we'll address them as we can. So, all right, I'll get out of the way.
There we go. Let's get her going. A lot of times, I'm the same way about this. When it comes to compliance, you think, oh my gosh, what in the world is everybody wanting me to do? I've had a 30-year career. It's been spotless. I've had a 5-year career. I've had no complaints. I've had a 40-year career. I've got 3,000 clients. I see everybody inside all these scenarios, and it just sometimes when you see the word compliant, it can be a little bit scary. This is me talking. This is not anything that I've picked up anywhere. But one underlying current that I've seen from CMS during this entire transition, when they start talking about compliance, and a year ago is when they hit us with it, although we knew something about it in 2021, 2022 is when they hit us with the recording such and things that were coming down the pike. But one of the things, the underlying current that I found to be with almost anything that the government is asking us to do is simple transparency. And just like what I said a second ago, the reason you've got a 40-year spotless record or a 30-year spotless record or a 5-year spotless record is because you are transparent. And automatically, we don't want to deceive our clients. We want them to have all the options available. Yes, we want to see them buy it through us. That's why we're in business, but we are very transparent with our clients. And I think that the government, and I've got a philosophy that what's easy to do is what is also easy not to do. So as you and I find it easy to be transparent, there are people on the other side of the fence that can be equally as non-transparent and click up the problems that we see coming out of some of the call centers and maybe even some of the people that haven't been in the business for a real long time out there, nobody in this room, but that are in it for the money rather than in it for the experience of the beneficiary. So don't be scared of compliance. I view it as our friend. It's a set of guardrails that we simply have got to take on our business with. And again, we're going to go down that entire scenario on what a compliant enrollment looks like. So the agenda today, we're going to look at and review some of the rules on the outbound calls, the disclaimers, the disclaimer that we used last year or for 2023. It's in the proposal phase, but I can promise you it's going to change for 2024. We're going to go through that as well. What you need to cover on your enrollment phone call. Again, I talk to a lot of brokers. A lot of brokers are avoiding the phone call enrollment, having more face-to-face. I would be a proponent if I was in the business on a daily basis, where I'm working with beneficiaries on a daily basis. I would default to that spot. But we also want to go through that opportunity that if you've got somebody a couple of counties away that it's not going to be easy to get face-to-face, there are still very compliant ways And there's just a set of bases that we got to touch in the compliance world to make that a good enrollment. We're going to go through software that we use to help a prospect select a plan. I use Medicare.gov. I think it's a little bit of a comfort level when your customer sees Medicare.gov up there, that it's not a biased opinion. It's the best tool we've got to be, I'm going to use the word again, transparent, but it will facilitate every Medicare Advantage, every PDP plan that is available to that person in that zip code. And I love to see that Medicare.gov tag up there. We're going to go through a walkthrough of what this might look like in a real client scenario. Jason and I were just having this discussion. If I did this webinar 10 times in a row, it's impossible for me to make one look just like the other one. And much like your last 10 appointments that you've had, I'm betting that no two of them looked alike. So a walkthrough, just make sure that we've got certain things that we've got to touch, guardrails, as I like to put it, and then pretty much it can be as flexible as you want to make it. And then we're going to have some question and answers at the end for any outstanding questions. You're going to hear us talk a little bit about, there's going to be some links that we're going to make available to you, for example, maybe on some leads. Jason, what were we talking about? Some other links that we were talking about?
For Medicare Center training.
Medicare Center training, some of the things that we're going to be looking at, we've addressed in other webinars when it comes to training, and we've got them on our website. If you email Jason, we'll get you a link that you can go straight to that training video, whether it's for CRM use or CSG, whatever it is. We've done a lot of that. If we haven't, get back with us and we'll make a personal phone call out to you. So next one. Outbound calls, do's and don'ts. It's always good to hit a refresher course. Again, as I was going back through the list of things on the outbound side of the equation, you know, it's not that I forget about it, but if you don't work with it on a daily basis, we're going to talk about the outbound call compliance. And again, there were just some things that I had forgotten because simply I'm not in that business on a daily basis. What we need to do with both existing clients as well as returning calls, we're going to go through that. And basically, I think the entire goal of any organization or any independent broker out there is try to get as many prospects as we can to call us. I think that's going to be the one of the secrets. Whose business wouldn't run better if our phones aren't ringing more? It's going to get utilizing getting involved with your community. Make your name the one that everybody sees when it comes to Medicare. Using compliant marketing materials. We strongly suggest, and I can tell you that Medicare is basically going to be coming down this same path as well, recommending that we use branded materials from carriers that we're contracted with. They've already been through all the scrutiny and all the due diligence. They've got spots where we can put our own names and our own identifiers. And so I think the entire industry is going to be leaning more towards getting away from some of this unique marketing branding of advertising and more of a down the middle insurance company branded materials that we can utilize. So I think that's going to be kind of a way that we all need to think going forward. Not that we can't make something unique. It's just a lot of hurdles to jump if we go that direction. On the outbound calls, what can we do? You can call current enrollees. I love Humana. Humana's got a wonderful plan. They call it their 30-60-90. They've got a little track that you follow calling a new enrollee about this time of year. If you enrolled somebody during AEP for January 1, now would be a great time. You could Google their system, look for the 30-60-90. And again, it's just something that just refreshes why they bought the plan. Did you get all your materials? Is there any questions? Just a good, warm, fuzzy 60 days, another opportunity to touch your client. And again, as we all know, this entire process is built around relationships. I happened to sit yesterday in Champaign, Illinois, with a roundtable, and I can promise you to a person inside that environment, we had a complete agreement that it was a relationship-built business. And so Call your current enrollees, ones that you've had for more than a year, certainly your new enrollees, and you can discuss planned business. You can return phone calls or messages. Okay, so if somebody calls you and you're not available and your secretary puts a note on the desk, completely free to give that person a phone call back or any message that you receive, email, text, a phone call in when you were stepped out. Those can all be returned without any incident. You can call when you get permission, such as a business reply card or an email requesting a return call. My business card, like your business cards, have got your email address on there. I love that format simply because everything is recorded, everything is there, and it's just a compliant, easy way for us to have recorded conversations, nonverbal, between two entities. What we can't do, we cannot make any unsolicited phone calls to prospective enrollees. Doesn't matter if they're a referred lead, doesn't matter how I know them. It can be a classmate that you know would be glad to do business with you. You're just simply not allowed to make an unsolicited phone call to a prospective enrollee. You can't call about other business as a way to generate Medicare leads. In other words, if I have a property and casualty shop and I've got Jason's homeowner's policy, I can't call him shortly before his 65th birthday, talking to him about his homeowner's policy and say, oh, by the way, Jason, I know you're turning 65 next month. Can we talk Medicare? Can't do that. That's the old bait and switch, something that is frowned on readily. Again, we can't call referrals. Talked about it just a little bit earlier. The referred person needs to call us. Many of us, all of you probably, have got some very solid, very good clients that feed you leads. I'd make sure they have plenty of your business cards and make sure that they understand it's not you that won't make the phone call. The government simply doesn't allow us to make that phone call to a referred lead. That person needs to get a hold of you from your business card, either by the cell phone, the business phone, or the email, that it's okay to give you a phone call or to reach out to you. You can't call someone who attended a sales event unless they gave you express permission for a follow-up call, and you need that documentation. I've been in sales presentations. I would put your email address up there. So many people have smartphones. Have them send you an email even as they're there. Just if you're interested in a phone call from me, give me a date and time. Here's my email address. Take a picture of it. When you make your mind up, if you want me to give you a call, I have to hear from you. Okay. So can't make unsolicited phone calls. Can't call about other business, the bait and switch. You can't call referrals, and you can't call someone who attended a sales event. You can't call prospective enrollees to make sure they receive something. If I know Jason's turning 65, I can't send him a business reply card and follow that up with a phone call and say, oh, Jason, by the way, did you get my business reply card about Medicare? I see that you're going to be turning 65. That won't fly. And so they just really, with robocalls and all these call centers, everything going on, the senior citizens, a very vulnerable population, are being inundated, and I mean inundated, with multiple calls on a daily basis. And that's basically kind of made a mess of things, to the point that the government is saying if the beneficiary doesn't generate that phone call, they're not going to let you make it unless they're fall into a certain set of circumstances. So just be very careful on what you can do, what you can't do. Give us a call if you can't. If you can't remember this, obviously you can download this stuff, but we'll be more than happy to help in any strange scenario. I attended a high school football game, had a buddy come up and ask me about Medicare. I turned 65 last year as well, and it was a high school buddy. And so it's not covered here. How do you handle it? You know, so it's just, there's always little different ways that different situations that pop up. So if we could
Hey,
do
Steve, we got
yeah.
a question here.
Yeah.
Does the no call thing apply to both MedSups and MedAdvantage plans?
Just Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plan is governed by CMS under this scenario. It is not MedSup. MedSup, the PDP does, but the MedSup does not apply.
Okay, and we have a couple more, but I think we need to keep moving for now, and we'll circle back to these.
Okay, folks, it's a good question. Disclaimers, we mentioned a little bit before that the disclaimers, they are changing a little bit. This disclaimers, they happen on any phone call. I got into a discussion this morning about, I've been in so many webinars talking about these rules of engagement when it comes to compliance. And the person that was doing the webinar, when we would try to paint a certain scenario, he would simply go up and underline the word any phone call. So in 2023, any phone call, the disclaimer has got to be out there. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-Medicare to get information on all of your options. That's going to change to, or at least the proposed change is going to this. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area, which are, and now I have to list all the plans that I'm certified with, both Medicare Advantage and prescription drug, all the carriers that I've got. Please contact Medicare.gov, 1-800-Medicare, or this is an ad, your local state health insurance program to get information on all your options. It's just the way it's going to have to be. These phone calls, this just happens to be a disclaimer that has to be out there within the first 60 seconds of the phone call. We'll touch a little bit of that on the role play a little bit later. There's going to be no holds barred. This is not a setup thing. Jason's going to start a phone call with me right here. We'll just be right here, but you'll begin to see that we got to find a soft area to get inside there to give these disclaimers. So,
Okay, what if I do have all the plans in my county or area of sales?
okay, there's a different disclaimer then, but if you do have all the plans available, you are not required to say this, but I believe there is a small, you can add it that there is a small, not a disclaimer, but you get to say, I do offer all the plans available. We'll find that, whoever that is, we'll get that back to them. But I think there is a little blurb, not obligated to, but just instead of, you get to use that other disclaimer. I'll get that for you. Okay, enrollment, the phone calls and the software. We're just going to go through some of what has to happen for a compliant enrollment when dealing with either a phone call or an in-person face-to-face. They don't look a whole lot different other than the fact that there's a few bases to touch on the phone call side that we'll go through, but it still touches all the compliant bases. One, if we do an enrollment phone call, everything from top to bottom, the entire chain of enrollment must be recorded. Now, once we get the recording piece taken care of, personally, I would, as I'm trying to get to this spot, now we got to work on the scope of appointment. If this is truly a phone call enrollment scenario, the disclaimer is going to have to be out there. Okay, we've done that. Now I have to handle the scope of appointment. Medicare Center, through New Horizons Marketing here, has got ample opportunities to get either by email or by text to that beneficiary on the other side of the phone call, a scope of appointment. I've seen it take anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes to complete. Once we get either the phone number that we can send the text that direction or the email address that we can send it that direction, they will fill out. It's not a whole lot different than what you would see on a scope of appointment that we see on paper. They're going to give their name, a little bit of an identifier, allow us to talk to them about Medicare Advantage plans as well as standalone, the 2 little check boxes. It's going to come back, and now as a broker, I'm going to need to fill in my own personal information, my writing number, my telephone number. I'll submit that, and within seconds, I'm going to get a completed and compliant scope of appointment on file going forward. Now, given that, I'm going to have up, if I'm talking to Jason over a telephone line, I'm going to have up the Medicare.gov website. In fact, I will even tell him that. Jason, I'm going to be working with the Medicare.gov website. It's the most unique organization that gives us everything that we're looking for. It's going to give us every Medicare Advantage, every PDP that's available in your zip code, and it's not biased to any one company or another one. It's all going to be based on you telling me what you take for prescription drugs and what doctors you go to, what pharmacies you like to work with. And that's where I start. I start with the prescriptions. I would say, what kind of prescriptions are you on? I would put those in. And as we all know, when we go to the Medicare.gov website, it will begin to populate some Medicare Advantage plans that fall in the best interest of your client based on the out-of-pocket exposure, specifically on the prescription drugs. It's a great starting place. Then, after we get the prescription drugs in there and it begins to populate on Medicare.gov, we'll put the pharmacies. We've all seen it where we can check off the pharmacies. You can put up to 5, mail order, Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, and you'll just start clicking off all of them is what I would do, because you never know what plan is available at what pharmacy that might be in the best interest here as well. And so we begin to find out who is in network, who's a preferred in network. A list of drugs may be better priced at CVS. It may be better priced at mail order. It may be better priced at Walgreens. We don't know, but that's going to give us the tools we need to kind of lead our beneficiary in the right order. I would say something along the lines that, Jason, you mentioned that you wanted to go to CVS. Well, you're in luck. I've got a plan here that works very well with CVS. And in fact, the numbers that I'm looking at, it tells me that this is going to be the best bet for you over the coming next year. Now, I also have a disclaimer in there as well that I never, if they get to see these numbers, I never commit those numbers as exact numbers. I always tell them it's going to fluctuate throughout the course of the year, a few dollars either way as the year goes along. So, but this is the best indicator that we've got. It could be a CVS plan underwritten by Aetna. It could be a Walmart product underwritten by Humana. We don't know. They all populate a little bit differently based on whatever the formulary is. So from that spot, if I could have a Humana, an Aetna, a United Healthcare pop up, and I would begin to talk to the beneficiary. Listen, Jason, you're in luck. I've got 3 plans here underwritten by 3 different companies, and they all look to be pretty competitive. It's United Healthcare, it's Aetna, it's Humana. Is there any one of these that stick out that you enjoy working with? Jason may have a cousin, may have a brother, a sister that has had good luck with an Aetna plan or a Humana plan or a United Healthcare plan. It's all different. It's all across the board, but it could be just a good spot to begin the process of starting to whittle down where they like to go. Next, we work with is the doctors. During the course of the phone call or during the course of the transmission between the emails, I'll make sure that Jason knows or that referral knows that we're going to be talking about their doctors. And we are going to be talking about their drugs. So just to be kind of prepared a little bit, every beneficiary that sits across from me that we're working on, when we start talking about physicians, hospitals, clinics, to their satisfaction, we will call up their doctor. If it's a Dr. Jones, I will simply call Dr. Jones with the beneficiary sitting right there in my office, or I'll do it away from the phone conversation that I'm having with Jason. But if I've got somebody in front of me, I'll make a simple phone call to that doctor's office. I'll say, Amy, we've got a common client in a Jason Ferguson. Jason is in the spot of his life where he's making a Medicare choice and he's looking at an Aetna Medicare Advantage plan. Does your organization accept an underwritten Medicare Advantage product by Aetna? Well, yes, we do. And that gives everybody an opportunity to begin to get comfortable with the medical plans that you're beginning to suggest. Now we'll talk hospitals. I happen to know that both hospitals here in Macon County and Decatur are part of Aetna. Now we can call them or we don't have to call them. That would be up to the beneficiary. And this should all be kind of wired a little bit. If you live in a small rural area, know your clinics, know your docs, know your hospital. What plans do they take? What plans don't they take? Be part of the system. I've had doctor's offices that we work with. If they have a problem, say, boy, I have a hard time with United Healthcare. We're in this business where these insurance companies are really bending over backwards to help. Let's get somebody from United Healthcare into your local hospital and let's solve whatever issues they would be having so that they can feel better about that relationship. Or if it's a doctor's office, yeah, we get some slow pay coming out of that Aetna organization. Well, give me a phone call. We can connect Aetna talking to that doctor's office and find out if there's something that we can't do to make that experience a little bit better. So the enrollment phone call, again, the disclaimer within the first 60 seconds, we got that taken care of. The scope of appointment, got that taken care of. We've taken a look at the pharmacies. That will begin to populate a list of prescription of MAPD products that are going to be in our client's best interest. Find out if he's got a favorite. Doesn't mean it's going to be the one he'll end up with, but yeah, my brother's got great luck with Aetna. In fact, if I can go with Aetna, I'll stay with that. We don't know. You don't know what you're going to hear. Doctors, hospitals, give them a phone call. If you want some backup ammunition, go to the websites. I know sometimes if a doctor's affiliated with a hospital, they might not show up under their own name. So just make sure that you kind of practice everything that we're talking about here and know the answers ahead of the question. Know what your hospitals take. Know what the clinic takes. If you've got multiple clinics or multiple organizations that deal with beneficiaries, know what they take. That's one of the best tips we can go on. At that point, a lot of times, you'll be looking at it. You'll be looking at the out-of-pocket maximum. A person like Jason or any other referral at that point says, Steve, just sign me up with that one right there. It sounds good. I'm the old school. Once they say sign me up, sign them up. Let's get the doggone thing enrolled. During which time we can talk about the add-on benefits. Listen, Jason, if you have any dental issues going on, this product has got a wonderful dental vision and hearing product affiliated with it. You're going to be getting information from ABC Company over the next 10 days. Inside that information is going to be an awful lot of pertinent phone numbers, contacts, emails to find out more about your benefits. Give me a call if you've got any questions regarding any of them, and we'll specifically go over anything. So again, that enrollment phone call, disclaimer, scope, touch the bases that CMS wants us to touch to be transparent. Pharmacy, docs, touch on the add-on benefits. We can't sell to the add-on benefits, but we certainly have to be versed on them. At the bottom there, you see some of the add-on benefits like dental vision and hearing, SilverScript Fitness. We get several calls a year from beneficiaries, from brokers asking about the SilverScripts on this plan or that plan. So transportation insecurities. The government is looking to more of these insurance organizations, these MA products, to fill that need for the transportation insecurities, the food insecurities, housing insecurities. Flex cards are becoming increasingly popular with seniors, preloaded with dollars that they get to use for out-of-pocket exposures on prescription drugs, dental benefits, and a whole host of other qualified medical expenses that we can utilize those dollars for. How are we doing on time, Jason? Are we doing okay?
We're pretty tight. So.
Okay, we'll keep it going here. The enrollment software that we work with is you heard me talk about Medicare.gov. I'm not going to go over that again. Your due diligence on selecting a plan and verifying coverage and benefits. It's good to have Medicare.gov. It's an unbiased organization that simply just puts them there based on dollars out of pocket. They've got their own formula. Medicare Center, I can't rave enough about that. We would love all your contracts, but I would tell you the benefits are going to be unbelievable. Medicare Center is constantly being upgraded. The call recording functionality is going to be getting better. The enrollment software is wonderful. The CRM's included, and it's free for anybody that's coming through us, through an integrity partner for your MA contracts. So that's the software that we work with. And that's what I would encourage you to kind of stick with as well. So we got some questions popping up there, Jason. You wanna...
Some from previous, but
Okay.
just to note on that Medicare Center, we have a bunch of training on that. We're going to send some links in the follow-up email after this webinar. So you should have that by tomorrow.
Okay.
So we do have a few questions. Can you call someone to talk about Medicare who's a member of an association?
It's going to have to follow the rules of engagement when it comes to, if you cannot mention Medicare Advantage and you cannot mention prescription drug plan.
Okay.
If you're calling somebody up, if you've got a med sup, that the rules are different there. If you're going to speak in the Medicare Advantage world or the prescription drug plan world, my best advice is no.
And on a related note, if we can't call someone, how is it that they receive so many calls daily about switching their plans? How's that not illegal?
Mm-hmm. Great question. I don't know how they get away with it. I think a little bit about what we're seeing coming down the pike. I guess one of the rules that we can talk about that's in the proposal for next year, they're talking about going back to the 48-hour scope of appointment window, thinking, I guess, in their own mind's eye that, yes, you might be able to get a senior citizen from a call center to answer the phone one time, but on a 48 hours later, you may not be able to get it done again. Honestly, I don't know how all these people are getting all these calls. It's beyond me. I watched a television commercial a couple nights ago from a company that we all know, actually. And I thought to myself, they were talking about benefits, and I saw, you can't do this. I mean, I didn't think this was doable. So I'm just going to give you my straight answer, transparent answer. I really don't know how they're getting away with all these robocalls. We have a lot of examples. But my job here is to keep you safe. And the rules of engagement are pretty clear when it comes to calling someone that is not a client, even very specific about a referred lead. So just trying to keep them safe.
And Pam just has a comment about the disclaimer. As an independent broker, it will take more than 60 seconds to go through all the plans she represents. It would be easier to say which ones she does not cover in that area, yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense.
That is a proposed rule at this point, but still, your point's taken.
Points taken, Pam. And that of all the changes that we even talked about it this morning, Pam and I did. Of all the changes, I think that one's probably locked in. Let me find out, because again, you are a complete broker up there, and it would take you longer than 60 seconds to get through them.
Mm-hmm.
Very proud of her. She's done a great job. Well, do we have time to go through a quick example enrollment walkthrough?
Yeah, I guess, guys, we're we had billed this for 30 minutes, but if anybody has to go, we will mail or email the recording to you. But if you want to stick around, and we'll take some more questions.
Sure. Well, once again, in the environment of the phone, and again, I get more because I get brokers telling me that they're doing more face-to-face enrollments. Speaking to a broker this morning, and they were hoping that we don't go backwards. That technology is a servant, and terrible master, but a great servant. Technology should allow us to make things easier, make these enrollments better. And if something's popping along here that's causing us to sit there and go backwards with a face-to-face, again, if a beneficiary wants a face-to-face, I think we should all be willing to take that on, and we are. I get that. But as far as moving forward, technology as a servant allows us to do an awful lot. The ability to text or email scopes. The disclaimer is not that terrible. But anyway, in the course of all this, I would simply say, I agree with the broker that I was speaking to this morning. I agree with you. I hope technology doesn't be so ornery that it's forcing us to go backwards. I get all that. So in the course of all this, Jason calls me up. Jason, go ahead. You can call me up.
All right. Hey, Steve, my name is Jason Ferguson, and a buddy of mine, Tim Jones, was saying that he's a client of yours and you've helped him out a bunch with his Medicare, and he likes his plan. I was just wanting to talk to you about getting that same plan.
Jason, I appreciate the phone call. I have to say thank you to Tim, but I tell you what, the government has required that I have a little disclaimer here, and it's going to be a required disclaimer about how I don't have everything available in our area. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in the area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-Medicare to get information on all of your options. So let's get that through. And well, tell me right now, are we talking about doing something over the phone, Jason, or are you wanting to come into my office? How do you want to handle this?
Whatever's most thorough. I'm open to either.
You know what? I'd love to have you into my office. Say, can you come tomorrow?
Sure. How long will it take?
It will 30 minutes. You'll be out of the office.
I can do that.
Okay. And so from this point, again, it is easier, and I don't mind working in the office. It's stepping out of the role playing, obviously. If he's from a location farther away, we could have gone down where the scope of appointment would have been handled over the telephone if he's got a smartphone or sitting next to a computer. But in this case, if I can get him in, if he's local, he's a referral. I want to lay eyes on this guy because, again, or this person, only because I may want him to tell another buddy on down the road. Okay. And so relationships are belly button endeavors. So I want to see who that person is. So Jason comes into the office. And so the first thing we would take care of is I just have this is not a generic scope, but we're going to call it a generic scope of appointment. One of the first things we're going to take care of is that, because that's going to give us the permission that we can get this. So Jason, if you would feel free, please, if you'd sign this and tell me that you understand that I'm going to be talking about Medicare Advantage as well as some prescription drug plans. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll take care of the rest of that here, and I'll take care of my business on that as well. And so then we got the disclaimer taken care of with the phone call the day before, setting up the appointment. Now the scope of appointment has been completed. Jason, you mentioned that you like the plan that Tim's on. Is there any reason that you like that in particular?
I don't really understand it all, but he just he said it's been really good about paying his claims, and his doctors take it. So
Good.
It's just a starting point.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to go to a government website, and it's got literally every plan available to you in our zip code here. So I'm going to pull this up, and we're going to take a look at some things to begin with. We're going to look at your prescription drugs. Yesterday, I think we talked a little bit about bringing your prescription drugs in. You mentioned that you were taking lisinopril just for some blood pressure issues. Is that, what else are you on besides that?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So when populate, obviously everybody's familiar with the system to the point that after we get through the zip code, Medicare Advantage start, then it's going to populate and ask us if we want the dollar value of the prescription drugs. We're going to say yes, and then it's going to ask us to put in the lisinopril. We'll do this. And then once we do this, we'll say done. And then it's going to pop up, what pharmacies do you like to work with? Is there anyone in particular?
Usually go to Walgreens.
Walgreens. So let's put Walgreens first. I've got some good plans out there that utilize CVS and Walmart. I'm just going to put them on here just to see what it looks like. And then we'll hit done. You'll hit that and we'll find out based on Walgreens or any other pharmacy that we put inside there, if they're in network with any or out of network. So as we move through that whole scenario, we'll start alleviating or we'll start getting to see some of the Medicare Advantage products that are popping up with lisinopril. And we've all seen it. There may be just a few dollars. I see United Healthcare, I see Aetna, I see WellCare populated up here. Jason, you said he liked the Aetna plan. Is that still something you'd like to take a look at?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we would click on the Aetna plan, basically go to plan details and begin taking a look at where he can go shopping for that prescription drug the best. And we've all seen it where it will say, yeah, it's a zero all the way down. And so there may not be no cost to you if it stays the same right here on the generic side of lisinopril. If we utilize CVS, it may be a few dollars over here, maybe free at 2 or 3 other places. And at some point, Jason's going to say, yes, let's just go ahead and do this. We'll get him enrolled, talk about the add-on benefits to a certain degree, and then tell him to wait for the leave behinds. And so that is how I would handle an in-person or on the phone beneficiary when it comes to an enrollment. Just think how the transparency, disclaimer, scope of appointment, prescription drugs, doctors, and you've got it. So let's take a look and see if we've got any questions.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm pretty easy that way.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Tell all your friends. Let's go see if we've got some questions
Yeah,
over
we
there
do.
that popped up there. So,
Hey,
yeah,
what, knock, knock.
who's there?
HIPAA.
HIPAA who?
Shh, I can't tell you.
Oh, gee, Merry Christmas. I told him that this was totally unscripted and to be prepared. You should
Okay.
have run that one through me first. No.
On the possible new coming disclaimer, will it be compliant to mention carrier names that we represent without their permission?
Yes.
Outbound callers claim to be calling about med sups, which is legal. During the call, they ask leading questions that cause the beneficiary to mention MA plans. Once they do, the door is opened.
Nope, not open. They're not allowed to bridge that gap. That's called the bait and switch.
Okay, during the Advantage Plan enrollment, does Medicare require that the full summary of the plan's benefits be read to the enrollees?
Let me put it to you like this. I've never read the entire summary of benefits. I always have a summary of, it's not every benefit. I think that's a different animal that is several dozens of pages long, but I do have a summary that I've got right there on almost any plan, but it would not be a complete summary. And it's not, I don't completely read it. I've got it right there and we'll go through it. I don't think it's a requirement to read that entire thing.
Hey, Steve says we should do an electronic scope of appointment. That way I don't need to personally keep it for 10 years.
Well, I would always make a copy of anything electronic. I'm a big believer in electronics, and I've got several of them in CSG's document locker. I love that. I love that one. I love Medicare Center. It's going to be the one that we're going to be moving to. But in any scenario, I'm glad that it's there for 10 years in the digital form, but I'm also going to have a printed copy in their file.
Okay, MedSup is on the scope of appointment. Is it needed for just a MedSup appointment?
No, you don't need it just strictly for, we've never, you do not need a Medicare, you do not need a scope of appointment to talk about a Medicare plan. PDP, MedAdvantage, a Medicare plan does not require one.
Okay, we should verify his enrollment, IEP, SEP, etc. Yeah. Mine.
Yours.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Okay, do you have a webinar or YouTube on your phone role play? I struggle the most with that. We don't, we used to have some live
Training,
client
right, but it's kind of
recordings
dated.
that,
It
but
got
yeah,
dated.
they're
It
pretty
got
old.
dated.
And they were, I think there was no MA stuff in there.
Yeah. I'll reach back to that person. Okay. We'll reach back. Give me till tomorrow, but we'll reach back to you.
Okay. So you can talk about a MedSup. So can you talk about a MedSup at all if the client goes that direction?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
Well, we hope you found this a little bit entertaining, a lot useful. Compliance is a very serious issue. Again, I utilize it as just an ability to be transparent. And I think that's what the government is asking us to do. And the underpinnings of all the compliance that I see, it's all about transparency. Jason, do you have anything else?
I don't know. Well, just be on the lookout for the email follow-up after this.
Listen, folks, thank you so very much. We'll be in touch. Anybody needs me, they can reach out to Jason. We've got some links we're going to share with you. Everybody's going to get a copy of the recording, and we will see you next time.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a
everybody.
lot, everybody.